Hello and welcome to Merlins Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building, where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, a new category that we are going to launch today, new LEGO ideas entries, and general industry news from time to time as well. Information is presented as always by setdb.org, the best source for set information on the internet. Let's get started right away. As always, we talk about new sets first in alphabetical order of the brands, and as always, the German brand BlueBrixx is in front, and here we have a couple of new announcements. The 105684 from BlueBrixx, the rescue car, is announced, 1528 pieces. The car is going to be roughly 36 centimeters in length, 15, slightly below 16 in height, and slightly below 15 in width. Designed by Adrian, and yeah, I mean, it's a rescue car. I guess that's a standard design of cars that we have running around over here in Central Europe. That's a Volkswagen, I guess. I mean, obviously, BlueBrixx does not have a license with the Volkswagen Group, but I'm pretty sure it is one. My apologies there. So, yeah, I think it's a pretty beautiful design. I mean, it's a rescue car. That's not really my cup of tea, but I think it is quite nice. You have all the emergency equipment inside. It's all brick built, as always, with these BlueBrixx specials. No prints, no stickers, just bricks. And yeah, I guess if you are into this kind of car or this kind of brick design, I mean, it's a lot like the Creator Expert cars from LEGO used to be. So yeah, I think this could be an interesting one for you. For all of you city builders, BlueBrixx has another one, an 8-stud municipal garbage truck, 105687, 552 pieces. It's roughly 23 centimeters in length and 6.5 by 9 width and height, designed by Pascal. Did I mention 552 pieces? And yeah, I mean, it's like also again a design that is very familiar over here in Europe. This is how they look over here. And yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those many cars BlueBrixx is doing in that size that can really help to enrich your city, right? I mean, you have, of course, all the 8-stud cars from LEGO now, but usually these are cars, sports cars, right? The speed champions. So obviously you don't want to have a city that is just built out of sports cars. I mean, obviously there's Rebrickable and such, or you could do your own designs. But if you are interested in getting a richer city and what LEGO is doing in speed champions and maybe even in the city series is not enough for you, then I think BlueBrixx has a ton to offer, like trucks and stuff, construction vehicles, etc, etc. Anyhow, this is one of those. All of these are just announcements. Usually it takes nowadays around 6 months. Sometimes it goes up to 9 between announcement and actual availability of these BlueBrixx specials. And to my knowledge, they are only available over here in Europe. All right, let's move on. Then in the architecture series by their typical architecture designer Anton, they have another announcement. The 105688 is steel plant. That's 1547 pieces. That is actually a steel plant. My apologies. Also, I think here from Germany, Ruhrgebiet. I think this particular set is going to be 38.4 centimeters width and depth and 7.5 high. And yeah, I mean, it's architecture. It is industrial architecture design. I think this is something that I think LEGO has never done. So for those of you who are interested into this kind of thing, I think this is great news. 1547 pieces. Did I mention that before? I mean, and this designer, and as you can see here, there's SetDB is always looking for related sets. I have no idea how they came from this one to Unicorn Wonder Garden. That's interesting. Anyhow, I guess it is because BlueBrixx has not yet assigned a category to the set, and as a result, I wasn't able to pick up a category as well. Maybe that's something I can fix in SetDB, set the category myself. Anyhow, you can see here, for instance, they also have done, I think I've talked about this one before, the shipyard in Hamburg. Then there's the coal mine Zollverein, which is a very famous coal mine over here in the industrial heart, if you will, of Germany. So BlueBrixx has done a ton of these nowadays. Quite interesting. Well, anyhow, let's move on. There's another one that at least over here in Germany, a lot of folks were looking forward, and that is that BlueBrixx has announced as part of the BlueBrixx Pro series. So I guess this is going to be a Xingbao-based set. Löwenstein Castle 105428, 1967 pieces. This is the Löwenstein Castle from the Bricklink, I think it was not called Bricklink Designer Program back in the day, but Bricklink, I don't know, what was it? It was this Bricklink challenge that was actually won by the designer Martin back in the day. And this is the same Martin that is nowadays working for BlueBrixx and is doing all this medieval magic over at BlueBrixx. A lot of the medieval sets are from him, like, I don't know, Burg Blaustein, of course, Castle Neuschwanstein is from his design. Also the Western Gold Mine. So he's done a ton of sets, especially medieval stuff. For BlueBrixx, Le Mont Saint-Michel is by him, so both architecture and medieval stuff. And so he's the same guy, and my guess is that his the lock of the design by Bricklink has now run out. That's my guess. So, well, they can move on now and publish this on their own. So I guess he has licensed this design now to BlueBrixx. I mean, obviously he's working a lot with them. And yeah, the awesome news, I think. I mean, Löwenstein Castle was always a beloved set by so many people, but obviously back in the, not everybody was able to pick up one back in the day. Plus, I mean, it's impossible to buy them today. So I think this is great news. Obviously, these are not going to be Lego pieces, but I guess Xingbao pieces. Let's see. Maybe we are lucky. I'm personally still hoping that one day BlueBrixx will move on to, generally better pieces, for instance, from BlueBrixx, but I assume it's going to be a Xingbao set. But let's see. We will see when it comes to market. I will definitely build it. And then we have availabilities, and we have one from the Dutch house facade, and I have to figure out why BlueBrixx is always not capitalizing the first letter here, but they do this for all these Dutch houses. I have no idea. Anyhow, Dutch house facade number 6, it's the 104917 is available now for the 1249 pieces. BlueBrixx is asking for 43 euros. That's 3.4 cents a piece. That is here in Europe. That includes tax. Always mention that for folks from America and other countries where tax is usually not included. Over here in the Union, we do. Anyhow, it's one of these amazing house facades. I mean, BlueBrixx has, I think, available are now something around 4 or so, I think. Let's check. Let's go to BlueBrixx and let's do a quick search. So yeah, you have number 6 and 7 are available now, 4 and 5, and 3 and 1. So most of them are available. So there are a few still missing. I also really like this number 7, the red one. It's amazing. But also, I mean, interesting could be the bigger ones, right? There's quite differences in size. So this one we are talking about, number 6, is one of the smaller ones. But if you look here, I mean, there is one, number 8, actually, that is not yet available. That is goes beyond 2,000 pieces. So it's a lot bigger. But yeah, they are all beautiful. And I've been to Amsterdam myself a few times, and actually it does look like this, at least in the old city. But it's so beautiful. It's unbelievable. Amsterdam, if you ask me, is one of the most beautiful cities I have ever been to. But anyhow, let's move on to trains. For you train folks out there, there are 2 interesting availabilities. I think I talked about these last week already. 2 more of these Gaiteilbahn train pieces are there. Actually, it's the 2 of the cars, the passenger cars, Schlieren 1735, that is at BlueBrixx, the 105081, is available now, 339 pieces. BlueBrixx is asking for 35 euros, 4 cents a piece, including tax. And then we have the Schlieren 8235, that is the BlueBrixx set 105083. And they're asking for 35 euros as well, 4.4 cents a piece. So that means this train is complete now. So for those of you who love the Alps and love trains as well, now here you go. Now you have both the locomotive as well as all the 3 passenger cars, first class, second class. And I guess this one, I'm not sure what the 8235, what is difference about this. I mean, I see the optics, but I'm not 100% sure. Maybe that's also not just passengers. It looks like there's also certain transport capacity in this one. Anyhow, I guess, to transport the luggage of all the tourists or something. Here we go for you Alp lovers, for the ship lovers, and maybe folks who are interested in history and what is going on here with my website, or with my internet, I should rather say, or my browser. It's interesting. Maybe we can, okay, Instagram is still working. Okay, my browser is going nuts right now. Okay, here we go. Santa Maria, the famous ship, I think that Columbus used to find the New World. The 104892, 3,632 pieces. I talked about this before, and yes, SetDB thinks this is a Christmas set because there is Santa in there. I have to work on this. And it's because it's a ship, it's pirates. I guess, no, that comes from BlueBrixx. By the way, SetDB is always calling out if there is a brand that has its own category scheme that I am actually able to understand. Obviously, for Chinese sets, sometimes I have my trouble to understand the categorization. But for BlueBrixx, Lego, of course, Mega, these are all brands, Cada, where I do have categories available. And anyhow, BlueBrixx says this is a pirate ship. That's crazy, of course, but that's why I think it is pirate as well. Well, we know better. That's not a pirate ship. But BlueBrixx is asking for 180 euros. That's 5 cents a piece. This is a BlueBrixx Pro set again, as I talked about Löwenstein. And that means it's Xingbao made, I guess. And here we go, 5 cents a piece for this very famous ship. Personally, I must say that from the design perspective, there are other ships from BlueBrixx that I would prefer, especially, I guess that's dark orange. I'm not 100% sure what the color is. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan, but nevertheless, I mean, it's a very important ship from a historical perspective, I guess, at least for America and also European history. And I mean, there are not so many chances to get one of those, right? And it's 3,632 pieces, so that's quite a set. And you get it for 5 cents a piece. Anyhow, let's move on to Cobi. And Cobi, just one information. Cobi, as always, is, or not as always, but in general, is announcing more and more stuff through their Instagram channel. And here we have an announcement that they will bring one more ship. It's the HMS Belfast. That's quite a surprise. So there, I guess it's a small update. So the Belfast, I think, was a design that they launched last year. So we are talking about the 4821. So that's the Belfast. I think it came out last year, 2021. I'm relatively sure. And here we go. And now it seems they are relaunching it. It seems to be very similar. So this thing here has, I don't know, we have a piece count. So it's 1,515 pieces. And the previous model from last year is 1,482. So it has like roughly a little bit more than 30 additional pieces. So I guess it's simply a bit more detailed. But nevertheless, I'm always surprised when they do that. But it seems it's a light overhaul. Anyhow, for those ship lovers, I think this is a great message. A very good message, at least for me, is another announcement from Funhole, the Lighthouse of Alexandria. The 9008, 1,677 pieces, as always at Funhole. That includes also, of course, a lighting kit. These lighting kits are, sometimes they're a bit more like a light tailing set, i.e. like combined chains of LEDs, but sometimes it's also single LEDs, what you know more from like my Brixx, but also BrixMax, of course. BrixMax, light tailing, both brands, they all belong together with Funhole. They are different brands, I guess, of the same company, so at least the companies are related. Like my Brixx, of course, is completely separate. Anyhow, this is architecture, and I'm just a huge fan of the architecture series, especially of historical architecture sets, and the Lighthouse of Alexandria is definitely something I would love to build. I also really like the design. I do assume this is going to be GoBrixx pieces, so very high piece quality is expected, but I will definitely take a look at it. It's already on its way on my desk. Let's see. I do hope that I can build it in the next 1 or 2 weeks. By the way, the same is true for Löwenstein Castle. These 2 sets are it's 2 out of 3 sets out of this week that I definitely intend to build. And like I said, this one is already on its way. I'm growing to become a huge fan of the Funhole brand. I think they are doing amazing sets. I've built 3 so far, actually 4th one I'm going to start this week. And it's just, I mean, it's so polished what they do. Packaging, manual, design, lighting. Now that they moved back to BlueBrixx, also piece quality, so it's really amazing. What is also interesting is if you look at the pictures, it looks pretty much like here, that this is also printed, pad printed. So this is new so far, I think, with Funhole. I never had pad printed pieces. It has always been stickers, which is the one thing where I did hope for improvement. So as far as I can tell in this picture, this one is going to be a print, which is an awesome news. And so really looking forward to this one. And let's see how it goes. Speaking of printed or lack of prints thereof, let's talk about the Marvel Hulkbuster from Lego, the 76210. Oh my God. Where shall I start? So I think, in summary, I think it's going to be the most controversial set of this year from Lego. They waited until the very end to present us this thing. It's 4,049 pieces, and obviously a lot of folks have talked about it. We have already a couple of reviews online. Obviously, we are all talking about recognized Lego fan medias that get this set from Lego for free. Alex has one, Tiago and Solid Brick Studios. They have already done reviews. There are more out there, but these are the 3 ones that I've linked to Satibi. However, it's quite interesting actually. Over here in Germany, none of the recognized Lego family have done a review yet. So it's quite interesting what the marketing strategy from Lego is. Maybe they are not so eager to market this a lot on their own, because it is controversial, right? It's 4,000 pieces and you have to pay $550 US. So for me personally, so far the record holder for overpriced set this year was the Lego Lighthouse. From my point of view, the Lego Lighthouse, it's $300, I think, and it's a $180 set in my personal way of calculating what I think a set is worth based on the numbers. Obviously I haven't built it. And then they brought out this Harry Potter train that from my point of view was $100 overpriced. And now we have this thing that from my point of view is $150 overpriced. This is a $400 set. And I have no idea why they made it so expensive. I don't really understand. I literally don't understand what is going on in Lego product management. There must be something in here that got quite expensive, and I guess they had problems to get this under control, or it was designed as a bigger set and they weren't able to manage to do it any bigger, like we had it with the soccer table or the foosball table. I don't know what has been going on. The gold pieces could be a reason. I don't know, this center piece here for the reactor, this is the same piece that we have in the Lighthouse, which is also very overpriced. So I don't know, maybe this is a piece that costs them $50 to make. I have no idea what is going on. But long story short, we have a rough 4,000 pieces. We have only one minifigure. That is not a good one, without arm prints, without leg prints. It's like, I don't know what is going on. Again, it's very hard to understand this set, to be honest, from a marketing or product management strategic perspective. And of course, we still have a gigantic sticker. Actually, this set has, I think, more than 20 stickers. The only printed piece is the headpiece. Again, I have so many question marks, and actually that's the reason. Speaking of sets that I'm intending to build, I will definitely build this one, and I will take a look at it. And on my German channel, I will do a review. Again, no idea what is going on. I need to figure this out. That's the plan. Anyhow, I don't know if I will be successful, but I will definitely try. Anyhow, I just as to complete the series, obviously they have done a Hulkbuster before, the 76105, which was a lot smaller. It was 1,363 pieces. And actually the headpiece, and that is the fun one, the headpiece is the same. So actually it looks, from my point of view, in the 76105, it looks slightly too big. And in this one here, it looks slightly too small. Actually, a lot of folks are complaining about the proportions. Actually, that's one thing that is also controversial about the 76210, but there's the other thing that you can build, that you have this smaller Iron Man build kit that was launched, I think, beginning of this year, and you can put it into this one here. There's actually somewhere a picture that Lego is hiding a lot, or at least it's not very obvious. You can see this here on the package. You can open the Hulkbuster up, right, and put the other figure in. And what I hear is from reviews that have already taken a look at it, that this mechanism is not working very well, and it's not even explained in the menu very well. So these all are hints, if you will. But again, I have to take a look myself that somehow they had trouble in the design. So I personally, my theory is that this thing was intended to have a lot more pieces to get a lot bigger. And they just didn't manage to do it from a construction point of view. And I think this explains why in some areas this thing is extremely thin and there's an extreme lack of pieces, like below here in the shoulder area. And if you look at the legs on top of the feet, and there's a lot of debate around this, right? That the chest is too heavy compared to other parts, etc., etc. I don't have to go into that right now, but I think that is my personal guess, that this thing was originally, the concept was maybe more in the ballpark of 5,000 pieces, and they just didn't manage it. That's my personal theory, but who knows? Anyhow, let's move on to the next one. Let's move on to Mork, and here we have a couple of availabilities around the coffee shop. It is... we are talking about the 31062, 1,512 pieces. We have a first availability from a Chinese shop by We and the Sky, 3.2 cents a piece. That's typical Mork pricing, I would say. I've seen this in most sets when you buy it in China. Over here in Europe, usually it's more than 5.5 cents, somewhere in that ballpark. And yeah, I've talked about this set before. I think it's beautiful. And however, it is Xingbao pieces. So make your own decision if that is the kind of piece quality that you want. Then we have the flower shop, the 31061, 1,593 pieces. Again, by Weas, asking for slightly below $50 US. By the way, usually I think shipping to Europe, so prices may vary. But Weas always including shipping in their prices, so I can't distinguish. I can't do a shipping neutral price, just as an FYI. That is actually the case with most Chinese shops. It's not like you get a price and then you get shipping extra, but you basically pick your shipping country and then you get an all-inclusive price. But anyhow, right now, and of course, customs may apply as well, depending on where you're living. Anyhow, I cannot go into all that detail. Right now I have this price, 3.1 cents a piece. And again, similar ballpark, I guess, over here in Europe. You, including tax, you will pay, I guess, something around 5 cents a piece, more usually. Anyhow, for Mork, let's move on to MOYU, and I have no idea if I'm pronouncing this correctly. And here we have availability also now in Europe. Actually, I think in China we had availability before of the 88010 by the Sports Super SUV. I have actually no idea why I guess that's a naming from one of the stores. I think this will be fixed soon. Long story short, this is a 1:8 scale Technic model. MOYU, I think, is using BlueBrixx Technic pieces. I have actually not built any MOYU set yet. Definitely on my list, but I don't know. There's so much awesome stuff out there. I mean, they call it a Super SUV. Obviously, that's a Lamborghini Urus in a fancy green. I guess this is lime, not 1% sure. Here we go. For what is actually asked for. So in Europe, you pay around 140 euros including tax, 4.7 cents a piece. And if you buy overseas, for instance, in Bawia in China, I think is the cheapest one right now. That is 96, and I really have to work on this thing here. There's something wrong in the ZTB on the pricing area. Anyhow, but we are asking right now for slightly below $97 US. All right, let's move on to Pantasy. Here we have two announcements. Actually, one of the two is in pre-order, the other one you can buy. And one is the Astro Boy Awakening Moment, the 86205. And this is by far not the first set they have done around the Astro Boy license. Actually, Astro Boy, or Mighty Atom, is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Osamu Tezuka, and I'm pretty sure I've completely messed up the pronunciation. Anyhow, that was a manga. That is a manga from actually the early. I think it was written somewhere in the late 50s. I think it started. There were several animes made out of it. The first one was 1933. The second one 1980. I think we have then another one in 2003. So that's a lot of stuff. The interesting one is that the this original manga from 1963 was the first popular animated Japanese television series, and it kind of embodies the aesthetics that, you know, later become worldwide known as the anime. So I think from an international, non-Japanese standpoint, this is where it all started. So that's so interesting, I think, about Astro Boy. I should mention, though, that I personally I'm non in the whole anime and manga pop culture. So actually, I almost know nothing, but I read about it because I think it's quite interesting. It definitely does interest me. I just could never found access, I guess, to anime and manga. But anyhow, here we go. Astro Boy Awakening Moment. I guess Astro Boy in general is the story of a boy that is actually not a real boy. So it has a little bit something of like Pinocchio. So it is a machine, it's a robot. But you know, the creator of the robot, I think that's this whole story is helping this kid to find its way in life, and I think it's even creating a family, so the boy doesn't feel lonely, but technically it's not a boy, and that is Astro Boy. And I guess the awakening moment is when the boy was created. Again, I've never read it or saw any of the animes, but I do believe that they have a real nice set here. Obviously, the figures, if you will, are not really brick built. It looks like a complete custom design, but of course the awakening moment itself, the machine, etc., is completely brick built. And I guess I've built so far I think 2 Pantasy sets, and this was all pad printed. There were no stickers in it, so that's my guesses that everything that you see here is pad printed, but obviously somebody needs to take a look at it. But yeah, here you go. You can pre-order it for $135 US. That is not cheap, 9 cents a piece, but you get usually from Pantasy, at least that has been my experience, very good piece quality. BlueBrixx pieces again. I've talked about those a lot today, right? But yeah, they are amazing pieces, amazing piece quality, and all pad printed. That was at least my experience so far. So if you're interested, you can pre-order this one. Then there's another one that is actually that you can order, and again, they have looked for an interesting license. That's, I guess, Pantasy style, nice designs, great quality, and interesting licenses that have been neglected by other brands, which is quite interesting. But usually, of course, they are not really cheap. Keep that always in mind. I mean, you buy this is a set from China, but nevertheless, you're getting close to the 9 to 10 cent ballpark very often with their sets. But I think they are worth it. That's my personal opinion. Anyhow, Popeye with Oliver. I don't know. How is she pronounced in English? Is it Oliver or Olivier? Like more like a French pronunciation. It's written like Oliver, so I guess I've never seen this in English, so I actually don't know. But Popeye, of course, has been a beloved character of my childhood as well, and I think it's an absolutely amazing set. Just, you know, the spinach box and can, I should rather say, and I don't know. It's a good looking set. It's very well designed, if you ask me, and it's just an amazing piece. And I think this is something that a lot of people will have a lot of fun with. That's for sure. The lighthouse, I guess, Pantasy is usually not including lighting, but this could be an interesting one. It should be relatively easy, right? With all these, I don't know, what are these called on Brickling, like panels or cones. Not 100% sure. I guess these are panels, but anyhow, there should be a ton of space in there. I mean, I get you could put an entire, even small power bank you could put in there. So getting this thing some lighting could also make it an amazing lamp, right? To put maybe 2 LEDs, something from BrixMax or Light My Bricks in this, could already make this an amazing piece. Anyhow, here we go. That was Pantasy, and then let's move on to QiZhiLe. And I've pronounced this one completely wrong. And the next one is going to be even harder. This is the Epiphyllum. Oh, I'm not a botanical expert. But anyhow, we're talking about the 92034. At this point in time, not available. More kind of, not really an announcement, but I've seen it for the very first time. It's new and set to be 683 pieces for another amazing flower. I mean, this brand is doing great flowers. I mean, we had, at least over on my German variant of this site, we have several reviews, on the page, and for instance, the sunflower picture somebody built. Okay, for this one here, I don't have an English name. So for all these plants, obviously naming is kind of an issue, but long story short, I think beautiful designs. It's really amazing. Piece quality, it's more on the, it's not that well. There's a lot of brands who can do a lot better pieces nowadays, but anyhow, beautiful flower designs. It's actually amazing. I mean, if you go into SetDB under plants, we have plants, we have 140 sets already in this category. It's amazing what all these brands, because I personally, I would never build one. This is not really my thing, but it's just amazing. Like Xingbao, a little bit, of course, of Lego, even BlueBrixx is going in a little bit for Range. I mean, there's so much amazing stuff. It's really crazy. It's really fun looking at all of these. But yeah, again, not really my thing. And speaking of plants, succulents. I'm not sure if this is how it's called in English as well. From Xingbao, the 26113. Here we have an availability at BlueBrixx. BlueBrixx actually is not just a brick brand, it's also a shop. And they are selling these and they are available now. I think you pay 43. I'm not 100% sure. I think 12 of these are included in this package deal of 43 euros. Anyhow, that's another source. I mean, Pantasy is doing some great succulents. Then here, as you can see, Xingbao is now entering the arena, or I guess have done so before even. Of course, Lego has recently started to move in here. So yeah, interesting. All right, this is new sets for this week. So let's move on to our new category. And I call this Mock of the Week or MOCs of the Week. So that was actually a suggestion from the community to look into a few new MOCs. And the way I will gonna do it, I will focus on Rebrickable here because that's the site that I personally use the most to buy designs, etc. So the general idea is to go through 5 new designs published to Rebrickable. And basically, when I say new designs, I will look in the last couple of days, usually the previous week. I mean, I will try to make it in a way that I look into exactly the time frame between my last show and the new one. But obviously 5 is not much. It's 5 that I personally find interesting and love to talk about. But of course, there's a ton of stuff that gets published on Rebrickable. Like, I think 5 is not even the number for a day, and for sure not for a week. So don't you worry. I mean, I've seen a lot of others, but I can't talk about everything. But let's talk about this one. And I'm, again, not really a train specialist, but I really like the looks of this one. This is the EMD SD94 43 Mac, San Luis and Rio Grande Railroad. It's a locomotive by Jepas. Actually, that is a designer who has done a ton of these. A lot of MOCs, 149 MOCs, currently on Rebrickable, 1,380 followers, 24,000 likes. So that designer is very active, and as you can see, or for instance, these EMD ones and all the different prints from the different companies. I have now picked the newest one, this one here. This locomotive actually is, I think it's running around North America. It looks, you can immediately see this when you come from Europe, because our locomotives look very different. It has 6,000 horsepower. That's a CC lock, so it has 2 wagons with 3 axles each, I think, or no, 2 axles each. It looks like, or I think the original one has 3, but I guess here for the brick design it's just 2 per car, if you will. And it's diesel electric. I guess that means, being not a specialist, again, big disclaimer, it has electric motors, but the energy is produced by diesel motor. It is produced by General Motors Electromotive Division, and is one of the largest single engine locomotives produced by EMD, surpassed only by the dual engine DDA 40X. It is 24 meters roughly in length and weighs 188,000 kilos. That's 188 tons. That's a lot of steel. Anyhow, here you go. I think it's a beautiful design, 2,233 pieces. Then there's another one. Actually, I saw on Instagram in recent weeks that this is like becoming a real thing, these mini designs of famous sets. And I think one of the leading designers, just by means of quantity, is Christ Romans, I guess, is the name. This one here is of the 21318 Ideas Treehouse, and I just love the idea. I just can't get excited enough around this idea, because I have always a lack of space, right? And the reason is that is the reason why I sell 95% of the sets that I'm building. I mean, I'm basically not keeping any sets because I just don't have the space, and I just love building so much. So that's why I can't keep them. But these things I could keep. I mean, they are just amazing. And if you go on his account, actually he has also a blog. It's called Lego Mini Modular Guy, and it's very interesting to read. I can really recommend it. By the way, all the Rebrickable sites, like every site that you see here, I'm linking also down below, besides maybe some Instagram stuff. But everything that is on merlinsbricks.com, setdb.org, or here on Rebrickable is linked down below in the description, or for you podcast listeners in the podcast show notes, so you can get directly to the mini 21318 Ideas Treehouse in the winter version, which is actually great for this time of the year. But here you can see this very long list, and he's also having an awesome blog running where he talks about the designs and some of the thoughts behind it. It's really worthwhile reading. If you just go from the Rebrickable site to the designer itself, then you can find here the link. It's really a lot of fun reading this stuff. And like I said, I'm a big fan of the idea, and I'm astonished how well these things work. I mean, you can immediately, and I saw this already firsthand on Instagram, you just see the picture, you immediately know what the set is. It's just amazing, and just look how small they are. I mean, even here, I mean, right? Let's look at the borrow. I mean, you know, it's even slightly tilted like the original set, and of course like the movie. It's amazing. You can just see all of them. I could look at this stuff for hours. It's great. I'm a huge fan. Anyhow, let's move on to another interesting one. And this is by Bricks Just For Me. That's actually a designer and YouTuber here from Germany, and has done a redesign of the 75334. Has also done a YouTube video, but I think this is actually also in German. And this is kind of an alternate build, I guess. Is this considered an alternate build? Yeah, it is. It is a modification of the 75334. The 75334, I think a lot of folks wanted to have just because it's an important theme from, you know, Kenobi, the television series from Disney Plus. However, it is not a very, very beautiful set, right? It looks very boring. And of course, a lot of folks, including myself, I have actually nowadays 8 or 9 of these Lego Star Wars dioramas. Obviously, most of them are also like designs, mostly from the designer Brad, that I have here. I have put lights on all of them. It's just an amazing concept. I'm a huge fan of the Lego Star Wars dioramas, the 3-1 that Lego launched this year. And so I think it's great to have this one and to have this alternative concept. I would say, you know, this thing here, and it should also be relatively easy to light it with the BrixMax or Light My Bricks kit. So I think this gives a lot of potential to this other set that I at least neglected. So I'm a huge Lego Star Wars fan, but this one I did not buy for sure. And I think, yeah, Bricks Just For Me has created a great alternative. Speaking of alternate builds, this one here is also very interesting. Actually, the Brick Cave I have actually reviewed on my German channel. I have reviewed a couple of his designs. And he has done alternate build of the 75333 and the 75342. So we are talking about, and he has created out of 2 of each. So that's Obi-Wan's fighter jet and of course the New Republic tank. Both sets that I think a lot of people have bought just for the minifigures. The tank for sure for army building, but also the other one, right? Because you have a couple of very interesting minifigures in the fighter as well. So what are you going to do with all the pieces, right? And you don't need, I guess a lot of people, again, just bought them for the minifigures. So that, I think, is the idea behind what Brick Cave has done here, creating a dropship, which of course is one of the most beloved Lego Star Wars sets of all time, the dropship, right? And the idea is here, okay, if you have all these pieces lying around, just, you know, get a new dropship going. And I would say, considering that this is an alternate build out of 2 small sets, I would say the dropship is very well done. And I think, yeah, gives a lot of potential to use it together with the new ATTE. And maybe also use it as an intermediate solution until we actually do get a new dropship, which of course everyone, including myself, is hoping for a lot. So you don't need extra pieces to my knowledge. Obviously you need 2 of the Obi-Wan's Jedi Starfighters and 2 of the Republic fighter tanks. So again, I guess it doesn't make much sense to buy these sets just for the purpose of building this alternate. But if you have them already, for the minifigures, then this could be a great catch. Or sometimes, at least this is what we have over here in Germany, a lot of, for instance, Bricklink shopkeepers who, buy these sets just to get a ton of minifigures for their shop. Sometimes they sell the empty set, i.e. without minifigures, very cheap on eBay. So this could be an option as well. But anyhow, let's move on to the last one of this week. And this is also an alternate build. This one is from BlueBrixx, I think it is pronounced. This is actually an alternate build. No, it's not technically it's not an alternate. You need 2 10264s. Corner garages, and then you need an additional 1,200 pieces. But in a nutshell, you get the big corner garage, and I think it looks a lot better than the original Lego design. It just looks more complete. The gas station, the shop, and everything. The building itself is just bigger, but especially I think the whole gas station and garage part looks just a lot more complete, a lot more realistic. I think it's a much better fit for your brick build city. Obviously, you need 2 corner garages. That set is, I think, end of life since end of last year already, but I think it's end of life for a while now, so it's not easy to get these cheap. And I don't know how many of you have 2 of those in your household, but if you have, I think this could be a great option to build this larger one, but you need 1,200 additional pieces. The drawback is, of course, also when you go into an alternate direction where, however, you have to add additional pieces or you're combining sets, it's of course a ton of work to extract this and get this apart again, right? If you want to, I don't know, build another alternate build of the 10264, you want to sell the set, or you want to just have the original one again, obviously it's a lot more work. A simple alternate, 1 set, 1 alternate is of course a lot simpler from that point of view. Anyhow, I think this is an amazing design and looks quite beautiful. All right, with that, we are through MOCs of the week. So let's move on to Lego ideas. Here we actually have 3 new designs that made 10,000 supporters. This one here is Community by Bulldozer. Community is actually a television sitcom that was created by Dan Harmon. The series ran for 110 episodes over 6 seasons between 2009 and 2015. I've actually never seen this one, so I have no idea how authentic this one is, but I do think it looks beautiful. The biggest trouble, of course, that I see with the design, if Lego, I mean, in general, this I think is right in the ballpark of the ideas team, right? I mean, they have done a ton of these sitcom sets. It all started 2015 with Big Bang Theory, and then, of course, the beloved Centripear came. And there are so many others, right? The Office was recently announced, but they have also done this stuff outside of ideas like Fab 5 and Friends Apartment. I mean, Lego loves this thing. So I think from that point of view, it has good chances. However, like The Office, the biggest trouble I see here is the potential for a ton of stickers. That's the biggest issue that I see here. I don't know how important these prints/stickers are to be authentic, but I have not very high hopes that Lego, because there's so much custom stuff in here, that Lego would do these as prints. And personally, as not being a big brick fan, I don't think that Lego can do a good design here due to their, I mean, if they would do all of these in pad prints, then of course, amazing. But I have my doubts. But nevertheless, beautiful design. I really like it. It's actually one of the sitcom scenes that I like the most, I would say. If I look at all the designs I've seen in the last couple of months and years, this one is really very well done. But again, I can't say how authentic it is. Where I also can't talk about that much is the Never-Ending Story, because actually I haven't watched the movie or read the books or this stuff for decades. Like, this is a childhood thing and I can barely remember it. But the Never-Ending Story, of course, is a big thing over here in Germany. Die unendliche Geschichte, it is called, because it is from a German author, Michael Ende, published 1979. obviously there was a very famous, I think it was translated not before 1983. At this point in time, I think over in Germany was already a phenomenon, and it was later adapted into several films. Obviously, the first movie where Michael Ende was contributing himself, I think there was a lot of controversy and debate around this movie because I think he didn't like it at the end and wasn't it that he even left the team like pretty angry? I remember slightly, but I haven't done much research on this. Anyhow, there was I think it was an American/German movie production for the Neverending Story, and there was a lot of debate back in the day. But I think there are, at least that's what Wikipedia tells me, several films nowadays. Anyhow, I think the movie has its 40th anniversary. Actually, the original book, as I said, is from 1979, but it could also be anniversary of the translation of the book. But I don't think so. I think it's about the movie. And here we go. I mean, we have the dragon, we have the minifix, and yeah. Does it have a chance? I have actually no idea. I have no idea how popular the Neverending Story was from an international standpoint. Obviously, that's something that Lego has to look at. In Germany, it would be a big thing, for sure. But I don't know how big the chances are for the international audience. As a result of, obviously, that's something Lego needs to look at. So let's talk about the Golden Clifftop Temple by First Order Luca. Made the 10,000 supporters as well, and I think this is a real amazing design. I'm almost 100% sure Lego is never going to do it because it's going to be, obviously they will never be able to even get close with the Lego design language to this one, because this one is very detailed. It is MOC design all over. It is what mockers do, but it's not what Lego would do as a product. But anyhow, it's very well done. I think it's a very iconic rock design, plant design, and it just looks beautiful. I have actually no idea if this scene, actually I should maybe have done a bit more research and look at the text. I think it is completely, he has completely invented it. It's not based on a manga, anime, or a Japanese folktale or so. I think it's a free design because you see this samurai warrior obviously here on the bridge. So you might think that this is, a famous famous scene, but I think it's not. But anyhow, it's just a beauty to look at this design or the building techniques. But again, I think if Lego would do it, and I think they won't, it would look completely different. A lot simpler, a lot less pieces. I'm actually a bit surprised because ideas entries usually are capped at 3,000 pieces. And I'm not sure if you could, this looks like a lot more than 3,000 pieces just by all the detail that is in it. But I mean, let's see, maybe it did some wonders. What I also really like about this entry here is it's not coming out of studio. This is not rendered. This is actually photographed. So this thing was built, which is not very often nowadays with ideas. But yeah, I really like it. It's a beauty. All right. Here we go for this week. I hope you liked the show. For those of you who watch this on YouTube, please leave a like or comment, or even better, subscribe to the channel. For you podcast listeners, please leave a review, comment, or like on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the show. Thanks for listening. See you next week.